All right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great day, great week, wherever you are and whenever you are. As always, it is Friday on the podcast, so we're bringing that Friday energy to you. I will give you guys a little caveat. I am in my home office, is where we do the podcast. And we have decided to renovate our bathroom, which is directly behind me. It's sharing the wall with my home office, so there might be a little bit of background noise. I apologize in advance. We didn't want to, but we got a little pinprick leak in the wall, and once we were opening the wall, we said, "Screw it, let's just do the whole thing." So we gutted that guy, and so there are definitely some drills and some hammers going on out there, but with real estate, we just keep going. Whenever there's an issue, we roll with it, and we keep moving forward. And so that's what we're going to do on today's episode with Melissa who is here with us on the podcast. She is from Choose Panama, and this is going to be a little bit unique of an episode because we're going to talk about international investing. I know we have had one or two guests on the podcast before to talk about this topic, but Melissa specifically focuses on investing in Panama. So all you guys out there who are interested in Central America, specifically who want to maybe invest in Panama, this should be the episode to tune into. Melissa, I'm excited to jump into this. Thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
Absolutely. I told you before we get on here, we always like starting with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. You're in Panama, so how did you get down there to Panama?
It's a crazy story. I was in my 30s. I lost my husband in a car accident, and you just go through this horrendous grief and not really knowing how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I decided I needed some excitement in my life. So I started looking at, what I could do to have some excitement. I had gone to school in Santa Barbara on the beach, and literally I was dreaming every night about living on the beach again. And it just by happenstance, I came to Panama on a vacation, really expecting nothing. I expected to be dirt roads and roosters and a drug dealer on every corner. And when I got here, it was completely different than I thought. It was, sparkling skyscrapers and a city, Panama City's right on the ocean, and incredible safety, not the drug problem or crime problem that I had anticipated. So I did my due diligence, gave it a deeper look, and within a short period of time, I moved lock, stock, two dogs, and half a container to Panama. That was in 2012. So I'm in
Wow.
my 13th year in Panama. I came here specifically to do real estate. I'd gotten licensed in the US, not really to be in the real estate industry, but just to get myself educated. So when I came down here, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be here a year or 5 years or 10 years, but I'm just going to give life in the tropics a go. So for those of you who are watching me on video, I have the Panama Canal right behind me. I'm in a tank top because the weather's tropical and beautiful all year long. And I just fell in love with the country, the culture, the beauty, everything about it. I bought real estate myself. I've done certain flips, but one of the things my company specializes in is we pretty much only sell to expats, mostly Americans and Canadians who want a plan B. Some people want, okay, we want to take part of our investment portfolio and move, and we need the same sort of ROI and we need the same types of appreciation that we get in the US. And other people are looking for a plan B because they want to come soak up this beautiful sun a couple months out of the year and then perhaps rent it out when they're not using it. So that's my story of how I got here. And let me tell you, you won't be able to get me out of Panama, until I'm dead. I love it here.
Nice. Well, I love when, difficult times lead to something great like moving to Panama.
Yeah,
And it sounds like it has worked out well for you. It's funny that you mentioned, whenever you think of an area that you've never been, you always have stereotypes. You can't help it. You always have ideas that pop into your head. And Panama, it kind of, my stereotypes, preconceived notions. I've never been there. I can't, I can't actually have an opinion on it, but everything that comes to mind when I think of Panama is exactly what you described.
that's right.
Dangerous, drug dealers everywhere. But as you can attest to, I'm sure that's not the case. But Central America is something that I love going to. We just took a cruise recently in the Bahamas. We went to, I mean, we went to Bahama or to the Bahama Islands, and then down through. I can't remember the Central American country, but we went to one, and then we went to Mexico, and everywhere we went was beautiful. And so after that cruise, we got excited about Central America, looking at properties. We haven't pulled the trigger yet, but the idea of owning something internationally, especially as an investment, really appeals to me. Um, that's all to say, I understand why you'd want to invest internationally, but there are hoops that you have to jump through. I'm sure it's not as simple or as I'm sure it doesn't follow the same process as one would follow if they wanted to invest in Indiana or Washington or Florida or Texas or anything like that. So why don't we start there? What are the differences that someone should know about that aren't readily apparent when someone wants to invest internationally? I mean, Panama obviously is the example we're using. What are
Right.
the things that they should know when they want to invest in Panama?
First of all, I want to dispel some myths that pretty much everyone has in their head. First of all, they think you have to be a resident or a citizen to purchase here, and that's not the case. You don't have to have anything, you just have to have money.
All right,
Second of all,
that's good.
um, the property is titled in your name. So you own the title just like you would in the United States of America. Thirdly, the typical purchase contract in Panama is about 4 pages long, which is
Nice.
shocking to most people. It literally takes longer to go open a bank account than it does to purchase property.
That's
There
funny.
are no gotchas in the contract. It's basically who, what, when, where, sign here. So simple. Most of
Interesting.
the contracts that we deal with are in two languages. So it'll be 8 pages, four in English, four in Spanish that say exactly the same thing. It is, like I said, such an easy process. On the other side, it takes a little bit longer than probably what most people are used to. A typical deal is going to take about 3 months if there is any sort of glitch. Usually the glitches happen when banks are involved. So if there's a
Mm-hmm.
mortgage on either side of it, that can take longer. But plan on about 3 months, from start to finish.
And so, I mean, I'm just thinking through such a short contract. Do you
Uh-huh.
still, when you're buying property in Panama, do you still have title insurance? Do you still, I mean, I'm sure they require regular insurance. Is it difficult to get property insurance on the property, general liability insurance? Do you need surveys? Like, tell us a little bit more about what is required, and then what is not required that we generally have in the U.S.
So, first of all, Panama is the land of condos because it is a small, especially Panama City in and around and in the bigger expat areas like the Coronado Beach area. Most expats tend to buy a condo versus a house.
Mm,
So, in a condo, you're buying your walls inside and then the building belongs to the association. Because of that, you don't need title insurance. In
mm.
Panama, if it's in the public registry, that's the law. That's it. So as long as you see it, the deed come out, it's in your name, that's it. There's not the litigious nature in Panama here like there is in the US. In regard to insurance, insurance here is very easy and very inexpensive. So if you look at the different types of insurance you would need, for example, once you own a place, you need fire and structure insurance. Here it costs about 1/10 of 1%. So on a $400,000 property, you're going to spend about $400 per year.
No, it's not bad.
One thing most people don't know about is we are literally, there's never been a recorded hurricane because we're so close to the equator. The hurricanes from north of the hemisphere can't come down, and typhoons from the south part can't come up.
Hmm.
So, because of that, we don't have fires, we don't have floods, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have earthquakes. So, that sort of catastrophe doesn't affect us, which really lowers the carrying costs.
I thought Panama was on a fault line. Is that not the case?
It's not the case. No,
Oh,
we've
okay.
had the tiniest tremors. I mean, I grew up in California.
Hmm.
I grew up around earthquakes all the time. I know the damage that they can do. We'll have a tremor every now and then that's maybe a 3.5, a 4, but
Yeah.
nothing very serious.
Okay. So it sounds like most people, when they want to invest in Panama, they choose condos. If I were to buy any property internationally, I would want it to be making me money. I wouldn't want it to just sit there during the times that I'm not using it. And
Uh-huh.
so is when people buy these as condos, are they running them as short-term rentals, or how do people generally because if you're not buying it as a single family, well,
Right.
I guess I'm going with, how do people make this into an investment and not just a another home, a second home that they have, or are they just banking on appreciation? And if that's the
No.
case, how is
No.
appreciation in Panama?
The typical client that we work with will use the property for some amount of time during the year and then rent it out for the rest of the year.
Hmm.
During that time, depending upon where the property is located, they could do short-term rentals,
Hmm.
so Airbnb
Oh, they have
model.
zoning laws there for that restrict short term, I'm sure.
Yes, in Panama City, the interesting thing is the law changed in 2012, and it was really pre-Airbnb. It was because Panama was trying to entice a lot of hotels like the Waldorf Astoria and the Hilton
Hmm.
to invest in Panama. So they had that law on the books before all of the Airbnb wars. But now there are a couple new projects in the city in very expat-centric locations. For example, there's an area called Costa del Este, which in this little neighborhood has over 120 multinational companies like Samsung, L'Oreal, Adidas. And with that, there's over 20,000 expat executives who need places to stay.
Hmm.
So in that
Hmm.
area specifically, if something comes available in the morning, it's rented by the afternoon because demand is so high.
Hmm. Okay.
For return on investment, if someone were coming to me as a pure investor and saying, I want the highest return on investment that Panama can offer, I would absolutely put them in Costa del Este, for all of those reasons.
Yeah.
If
And s
someone wants And if someone were to want, let's say, a vacation home where they could have a place on the beach in a nice condo, very luxurious, that was Airbnb worthy, there's an area right outside the city called Playa Bonita that like ticks all the boxes: private beach, beautiful luxury resort, good return on investment as well, and good appreciation.
yeah, it's funny. I feel like there's a Playa Bonita in every Spanish speaking country.
And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's like beautiful beach.
Yep. Speaking of Spanish, obviously Panama is a Spanish speaking country. How difficult is it for someone who does not speak Spanish to own, and if they chose to live there, to live in that area?
Not at all. When I moved to Panama, I knew 5 words. It was a little bit naive of me to go into business knowing 5 words. But yeah, Panama has been very friendly with the United States for so long. So a lot of people speak English. So whatever you need, you can find an English speaking attorney, an English speaking insurance person. Obviously, if you want a real estate broker, I speak English. I'm American. But anything you need, you can find somebody who speaks English.
There you go. How about the rent to price ratio? What is typically like let's just say a two bed, one bath, or a three bed, two bath? What would somebody generally pay for that? And then what would they rent it out for? What would be the ratio that they get there?
Yeah, and again, this is going to depend on area. So if we look at something like Costa del Este, which has a higher return on investment, you can plan on about 10% ROI per year.
Okay. And so give me an example of what a purchase price for a three bed, two bath would be.
So there, you can get 3 bed, 2 bath, but really what's going to be a bigger thing in the market would be like 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So if you
Oh,
got
okay.
yeah, you got a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Let's say you paid $250,000 for it.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's really
yeah.
not bad.
And it's a whole different thing because again, it's not just that 250,000, but the carrying costs are going to be so low. Your
Hmm.
carrying costs will be less than $500 a month, all in. And I call it HIT. So your HOA, your insurance, and your taxes all in, less than $500 a month.
That's pretty cheap. And what would so a two bed, two bath, you're buying it for 250. What are you renting it out for?
So that would probably rent for $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Hmm, that's not bad.
Yeah, could go a
Interesting.
little bit higher. Yeah.
Huh. All right. So we are running down the clock, so we do need to move into the quick question round. But last words for people interested in investing in Panama. What advice can you give them?
It's so important to use a licensed real estate broker. There are so many people who say they know real estate and they're not licensed. just like any country, you have to be licensed because then you're carrying the right insurance.
And insurance, I'll tell you that much, is super important. We've been dealing with some insurance issues, and man, oh man, those that's a whole nother story. But
Yeah,
good advice.
exactly.
And I'm going to use that opportunity to push us into the quick question round.
Okay.
It all starts out with education. It could be any form, could be a conference you've gone to, a mentorship program you've been a part of, a book you've read, a movie you've seen, anything like that. But I just need two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
Okay. The first one, General Life, would be Influence by Robert Cialdini.
Okay.
Um, Wonderful book. I've read it multiple times. Second, if you're interested in Panama, I offer a free book. And, I hate to promote my book, but it's really if you're for an expat who's going to be investing in Panama, it's best that it's written by an expat who is invested in Panama. Free, go to my website, choosepanama.com, download a copy.
Easy to remember. All right, let's go back to your younger self. Let's go back to
Uh-huh.
Melissa, who is just stepping off of the plane so many years ago down there in Panama. Go back to her, look her in the eye, give her one piece of advice moving forward.
Wow, I would have done it a lot sooner.
Hmm.
Had I known what my life would be like here, I came in 2012. I wish I would have come a decade earlier.
Interesting. Okay. I will put that in the bucket of I wish I got started sooner generally. We
For
kind of keep
sure.
a running tally on the show of the people that say they wish they got started sooner. And I'm telling you, it's like 90% of the people. And anytime anyone says that, I always point it back to you, the listener. If you have not got it started, your investing journey yet, this is your kick in the pants. Go out there, get the first deal done. I know it's scary. I know you're gonna so many things are gonna pop into your head that tell you not to do it, but everybody that comes on this show says they wish they got started sooner, so go out there and just get it done. All right, that brings us to the next question. This is about well, it's about the US, but we're going to say it's about Panama. There's a lot of metros even in Panama. It's a small country, but there are multiple cities. So what city, what area are you most excited about investing in today?
Look, Panama City, Panama, in Panama is the best place to invest for anyone who wants that high return on investment. And with that, I'm going to say the metro area, so in and around. There are other places where people can live that have the wonderful lifestyle and live in a hammock, whatever. But if you want return on investment and appreciation, it really does need to be not only in Panama City, but in certain parts of Panama City.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure the canal definitely brings some. Well, actually, I don't know. Do you want to live near a canal? I don't know.
I,
Does
I
it?
live on the I live on the canal. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, there you go.
I have this app called Marine Traffic, so I get to see what's going on behind. It's like Netflix for real life.
That's kind of fun. All right, that leads us to the last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you, and then what can they expect when they reach out?
You can go to my website, choosepanama.com. I also have both a podcast and a YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is at Choose Panama. And on that channel, we do have a podcast called The Panama Podcast. Now, we've got a couple hundred videos on the website. So probably if you've thought about it, we have it. We've done a video about it. But we're anything having to do with lifestyle specifically. So unlike other real estate people, I'm not just doing, look at this listing, look at this new da 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 da. Da. I'm talking about lifestyle because for a foreign investor, you want to know what it's like to go to the grocery store. You want to know what it's like to go to the doctor. You want to know what it's like to actually live there as a plan B, whether full or part-time. So that's our focus. And we do have lots and lots of different videos you can watch.
Perfect. ChoosePanama.com. I will put that link in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out and learn a little bit more about investing in and possibly moving to Panama, go ahead and click that little link. It's in the show notes, as I mentioned. All you got to do is click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description. In there, you can find that link. All right, Melissa, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks, Gabe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at the realestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.